Today, I want you guys to learn how to stop rejecting and start accepting. This could mean a lot in a lot of things, in such a life, generational, family, beliefs, all that kinds of stuff. But what I really want to teach you here is how you actually start to embrace something and start accepting the fact that it is truth. It is something that you can change, but you're able to accept and live out of it. And by this mean doesn't mean it's always not able to change it. There's a lot of time, a lot of stuff we end up giving up and missing out the opportunity just because we simply rejecting the fact that we can't do it. And we kind of trap ourselves in a box of frame in a thinking. We have to think outside the box. Even in such today's generation, if we don't think outside the box, if we can't be creative enough, there's going to be eventually someone replacing our spot. Every day, you should be worried. Someone that is catching up to you. There's a thing that is about how winner work as hard as they can, being afraid of how loser could catch up to them, while the loser work the bare minimum and expecting them to beat the winner. How you think that's gonna work, right? First, I want y'all to know the trend, like how I always talk about and AI. Technology, something that we always need to be up to date with. We need to keep up to date with the market, interest rate, technology, all that good stuff. But if we don't reject the fact that some people just doesn't like technology, they like the old-fashioned way, they like paper, pen, and pencil, like even just me doing this on a board right now. But in some time in life, you're gonna have to move along with the trend. Just such as AI, there's so many people that's making money out with AI in today's society, in today's market. If you don't know how to utilize AI today, you're kind of missing out a piece of pie. It's like a fresh, brand new piece of pie with a huge market potential. And some people are still sticking with the old mindset. Like, don't get me wrong, a lot of time in school, teachers tell you to don't use AI, don't use Chat GPT. But for me, I really think you should utilize it. You should start embracing it. You should start following the trend and go along. Or else you're just going to be out today eventually. There's a perfect example here. People who used to use BlackBerry, like there's a lot of people I know, just literally button phone. You get to click on those buttons. BlackBerry, I believe the owner himself, BlackBerry, the CEO, they did not want to make changes. They believe a phone is just simply for calling or whatsoever. However, when iPhone came and the internet came, everything changed. Do you still see people out there using BlackBerry today? I mean, maybe if you're like a billionaire whatsoever, you trying to keep yourself not distracted, then yeah, go ahead and use it. But in today's society, I wouldn't think you can name someone that it is using BlackBerry phone, right? It is that simple. You simply have to move along with the trend. Look at BlackBerry today. They did not want to make changes. Guess what happened? Everyone have an iPhone now. Who's out there going to be sticking with the old mindset, right? I mean, there's some traditional and history. That's why we have history. The reason why we have history because we're always moving along. Yesterday could become a history because the fact that we start accepting new stuff and we stop rejecting it. And we don't want to always have the old stuff and use it in today's society. There's so many great examples I can name, like how in my previous video I mentioned about YouTube compared to reading a book. It's both way of gaining knowledge and value, but one way may be better and faster, and which is why a lot of stuff are digitally today rather than paperwork. Because think about mailing stuff. Simply back in the day when you have to write a mail or confirmation or any document, you have to mail it out. I mean, we still do have that today, just for handwritten purpose. But a lot of time, people would rather do it digitally. For example, you got Gmail out there. You got people emailing rather than writing newsletter nowadays. You got blog posts. And you have to know where attention is being placed at. It is so important how we don't get the fact that our attention is all on the phone today. Where the attention is where the market is going to happen at. You have to put in the amount of effort into the place where the attention is going to be placed in. You see billboard out there today. Who want to invest in those? Those are like stuff back in the day now. I mean, it works somehow, but more than half of the time, people are just going to be on their phone rather than looking outside what's out there. I mean, you might be still have the people back in the 80s, 90s doing so, but today's society, I think we have to embrace and move along with the trend. We have to make changes. We have to follow along with the flow. You can't be someone that is just all of a sudden different than everyone else. It's all about becoming it, and then you make the change within it. That's the thing we need to get. A lot of people, they're doing the opposite way. They want to make changes first. They want to change all the people that's, for example, all the people that is using iPhone, they want to change them. Like, how is that going to be possible without putting in any effort or action, right? You have to first become it, embrace it, and then later you make changes within that society or that community. Next, I got this, a perfect timeline of showing wealth as an example of stop rejecting and start accepting. Here a regular timeline of how normal people is. You got your high school time, college, you'd finish that, you come out with a 9-to-5 job, and then end of your life there. Or you got some people that work so hard, that all have been a regular life, but all of a sudden in their later age, or maybe 60 or so ish, got a jackpot and they retire. Or you got some people that just born rich, that come from a wealthy family, something that you can't compete or compare. And a lot of time, I want you guys to know that we need to stop comparing with each other. Work on yourself. Focus on yourself. Like, simply put your head down for a couple years. Work on yourself. Improve yourself first before you go out there and show everyone. There's no point in competing if you don't have any value, right? And sometimes when comparing, it really kills your self-esteem, which is the thing that we need to recognize and realize. There's no need in comparing. If you were someone on this timeline, why would you want to compare to someone that is like born rich in a wealthy generational wealth family? It's no point. Just be yourself. Live on your own timeline. The only reason why they're separate, because we all in a separate timeline. There's no need for us to be, if I was on this timeline, I don't have to jump on this jackpot timeline, right? I don't have to force myself, keep buying lottery whatsoever, going to casino all in, all like blackjack 21 whatsoever. Like, it's not necessary. I live on my own life. I live on my way. And I just got to stop rejecting the fact that I live this life, but start accepting it. I accept this life first, and then I want to improve from it. I could still first have a 9-to-5 job, but somehow have some side hustle, make some side extra income. Maybe go out, do Uber, delivery, DoorDash. Make some side income. Find some way. For example, there's a lot of people coaching on YouTube, teaching other people, doing some side hustle, maybe having 2 jobs to build up the wealth. And then you take advantage when you have all that cash flow coming in. You take advantage and you go start up a business. It's fun when you start up a business because there's so much challenge that is coming in. But first, you have to build yourself into a certain amount of wealth whatsoever, meanwhile working towards that progress. You don't just wait. You have to move along with the timeline because time is moving. Time doesn't wait for you. Time does not stop. You have to go along with the flow. You can't be saying like, give me a second. Let me make some minute. Let me make some money. Let me make a couple million before I start up my first ever business so I have room to fail. There's no time for it, which I mentioned in a previous video before. You got to risk it while you're young. If you don't risk while young, by the time you're here on the timeline, you will have no chance to risk. And I fully respect the people that is born with generational wealth. Like, I'm from a regular working class family. I'm not from any wealthy family or anything. I did all by myself, all from my bottom ground up. But if you're born here, you should be proud, first of all. Like, you're born with such a wealth, you're given in such a good family background and everything. But you got to take advantage of those. You got to know how you utilize it. If you are not utilizing it right, essentially you could be moving from here but backward in your lifetime. Your wealth could be going negative rather than moving forward. I've seen so much kid that does not have the knowledge enough to take control over their position. I know some kid that is just born rich, but they end up messing up the whole entire family, mess up the whole entire generational wealth, ended the family tradition simply because they were doing too much unnecessary stuff before educating themselves. Like a lot of time, they say, "Oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that." Like I know it's cool that you have the money or whatsoever. You don't have to do anything, but you have to stay educated regardless. In this world, we always moving forward with trend or whatsoever. You have to keep on educating. That's how you win in the game. This life is simple as the game. You simply build up yourself, just like going to a different level, competing, and you slowly move up tier. It's that simple. But a lot of people does not want the way, and they also rejecting the fact that they they think they can't do anything, and they accept it, but they don't make any changes. I want you guys to know there's a huge but in here. Like I could be born from a poor family with poor background with bad environment. I have to accept that, right? I have to accept the fact that it's true. But at the same time, I don't want to complete kill my mindset how I can't even work outside of this comfort zone. If I was born in all the bad situation, anything could happen to me. Well, I have to first accept it, but then like what am I going to do in my life? I have to keep going, right? In worse and worst case, not to disrespect anyone out there, like if anything happened to me tomorrow, for example, I lose. I'm proud. I'm blessed that I have two hand and two leg. For any reason, if I lose those, what am I gonna do? What do I have left? I still have knowledge. I still have my brain. I still have my vision. I can still see. I can still smell. I can still speak. I should be blessed with those. I should accept the fact that I still have something left and I could keep moving forward. I could keep building up my value. Just because the fact that I don't have a certain thing doesn't mean it should stop me from doing certain thing. You get what I'm saying here? Like a lot of time people stop themselves just because they think they can do this, do that. But you just need someone to push you there. You just need to get over that that mindset and that heart like that is stopping you. At some point in your life, you have to realize you have to just really push yourself outside your comfort zone. You can't be always in your comfort zone. Because when you're in your comfort zone, that's where you fail. That's where eventually everyone's gonna catch up to you and go past you while you're still staying in the same spot, steady and still. And some people, I know there's a lot of introvert and extrovert, but a lot of time just because people are introvert, I've seen so much people they think they're introvert, they can't do any sales, they can't do any business, they can't do any negotiation or talking. Don't accept that fact. Reject it. Meanwhile, accept the fact that you're introvert, but you could work outside of it. You could be an introvert. I heard people say this. They are an introvert, but at some point in their life, they realize they hate being broke, so they have to step outside their comfort zone. Just because you're an introvert doesn't mean you should be limited to doing all the back end work. I mean, you could accept the fact that you could be an introvert and do the back end work, but you got to reject the fact that introvert doesn't limit them as doing any back end work. They could go out in there. They could go out, put on a show, put on a presentation, go out and talk to people, let them know the knowledge, spread the value. They could be a salesperson easily, without a doubt. They just have to work outside their comfort zone and have brave enough for it. And don't be scared for anything that comes after you. The maximum is just failing or something worse than that. But throughout the process, you enjoy it. You're doing something you actually truly love. It's just the fact that at the end you fail it. But the key here is happiness within what you're doing. If you're not happy with what you're doing, I might as well tell you to quit, honestly. A lot of time people say passion, dream, money, all that. But they really trap themselves in a box of limiting themselves, how they're thinking, For example, if I was gonna plan on going this trip for a while, I want to go to Cancun for so long, but my work, no one to cover my shift. If I go Cancun, I'm gonna lose a month of paycheck. Mortgage gonna catch up. I'm not gonna be able to pay that back in time. Well, it's okay. You could squeeze the time together. Trying to find a month or so, maybe finding a two job. Work something out that could get you for your plan to work. You know, you make things work. You don't wait for stuff to approach and then you just let it set aside. Let the problem set aside. Time will go by. I'll eventually save up enough money and go on Cancun for a travel, for a trip, for a vacation. No, if you want to do something, you're gonna put in the effort. You're gonna have to do two jobs to able to reach that goal. No matter what you gotta do, you just gotta reach that goal. That's where your happiness is. Trust me, by the time that two job month or week or so is over, and when you go on a vacation to Cancun, you're gonna appreciate yourself so much with all the hard work, with the reward. And that's how you move on to the next level and getting better, pushing yourself forward. Stop rejecting the fact and start accepting and changing from it. Lastly, believe. A lot of you out there have a lot of self-belief, like I mentioned before. Just because of da 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 da, so I can't do this, da 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 da. Like there's just a lot of self-belief that is trapped in your head that you should start changing. I know there is time when people are stuck with their self-belief that they did not want to believe in something that is actually true. For example, if you've always been believing 2 plus 2 equals 7, but the reality is 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? What's going to happen over the time, eventually you're going to actually believe 2 plus 2 is equal 7. But in fact, it's not real in reality. Sometimes you have to think differently. Just because what you think is not always right? You always have to accept different opinion, different advice and everything. You have to hear the world and see the world. A lot of people are making comment without seeing the world. They're just talking this, talking that on the internet. Like it's that simple a lot of time. You need to be aware of what people say because a lot of people do not do their research or due diligence or anything whatsoever. A lot of people do not put in the effort to do any research before they speak. And you have to be aware of those comments because it could be negative to you. A lot of times, don't take those negative comments as a hit. That's what's going to kill your self-esteem. You have to work outside of it. If you believe 2 plus 2 is 7, then prove them then. If everyone is proving you wrong, well, you got to start believing them because it's actually wrong. And you have to know you got to work outside your self-belief. And at the end of the day, I hope you guys enjoy this. Work yourself out, find your way, do stuff you like, stop rejecting, start accepting, but begin to make the change today.